Hey guys, it's Nitro Crate here. Today guys, we're back with another top 10. And for this top 10, we're going to do the top 10 best villains. Now, because it's a top 10, and there are 11 villains, it means that one of these villains won't make it on the list. So instead, I will put them as an honorable mention just before we reach the number 1 spot. So watch out for that one. Anyway, there are 11 returning villains. Like I mentioned before, each one is from the Trap Team game, so that's pretty cool. Which is why there's no Dr. Neocortex on this list, because have you ever seen Dr. Neocortex in Trap Team? Because I don't remember him. So yes, this is just going to be the Doom Raiders, and also basically anyone that's from Trap Team, basically. And Kaos obviously did feature in Trap Team because he's a stable villain, so you don't need to worry about that. Now, anyway, let's get into the list. But before we get into it, a little disclaimer, this is my opinion. Opinions are subjective, so if you have a different opinion, feel free to comment it down in the comment section. But anyway, without any further ado, let's get into the number 10 spot. And the character I decided to put in number 10 is going on the portal right now.
Any last words?
In the number 10 spot we have is Sickle. Now, Sickle is a very interesting character. And let's attack this vulture. And I'll basically explain why he's at number 10. Well, first off, he doesn't really do, well, too much damage. Like, it does 66, and I'm fully aware that you can dash. You can collect these, like, dark fragments, which will make your save even stronger. But even so, like, he's doing good damage, but he's still fairly slow. Now, he's doing well. Like, none of the villains are awful, and for this game, none of the characters are particularly too bad. But compared to the other villains, Sickle does seem to show more weaknesses than the others. Now, the Dark Sith combo is pretty good if you collect the dark. No, the Remingtons. Sorry, not fragments. Yeah, you get more speed and damage with the War Scythe, which is this. And you gain... And the Gravity Well is pretty cool, but it does have a few weaknesses, which is, first off, the extended dislocation takes quite a while, which isn't too great. The Gravity Wells can be destroyed by enemies, which, again, isn't really that great. And the Dark Scythe only really gets good damage is if you go all the way up here on the top half. Now, the Gravity Wells, if you decide to upgrade them, they get decent. Like, the Gravity Wells last longer in terms of how long they can stay there, but they still get destroyed just as easily. And there are a few decent upgrades. I like the Explosive Dash, but there is a few problems with the Gravity Wells. Now, even though they seem to do a lot of damage, there's a problem with them. First off, if an enemy attacks a Gravity Well, it will be destroyed, like you saw there. Second of all, they can be destroyed while you are doing that attack. As you see, guys, that Gravity Well did not explode when I commanded it to, because an enemy destroyed it before I could successfully pull off the move. Like, again, trying to do the Explosive Dash. I got that one off, but sometimes when you're going for the dash, the enemy destroys it before your dash collides with the Gravity Well, and doing so will actually basically just make you dash at the opponent rather than explode the Gravity Well. That's basically why he's at number 10. It's mostly because he's strong, but he has his downsides, which is why he's at number 10. But anyway, coming in at number 9, probably no surprise for a character being so low on this list. It is Golden Queen. Now, to be honest, guys, did you really expect a star to really get too high on this list? Granted, though, she's a pretty good character. Like, she's powerful. Especially for a starter. But, let's not forget, she's still a starter. Now, if you actually look, she does have some pretty good ones, like Blinded by Gold's a pretty good ability. You can slow down your enemies. The Golden Shockwave can be easily abused, even though it doesn't do much damage. And the Gold Rush with the Colossal Scarab is a pretty good upgrade as well. Like, you can freeze enemies solid in gold. It works against these large vultures too, sometimes. The Colossal Scarab is pretty powerful to get a direct hit. And the guard turret is like... It's like... Okay. The golden guard can be easily destroyed though. And it doesn't really last that long. If you can keep the golden guard alive, it does... It helps you out, certainly. The problem is it doesn't really have much health, so in most scenarios it easily gets destroyed. Yeah, she's pretty good. She's just a little bit average compared to the other villains. Her best ability by far is the stun. He was flying, so it didn't work. And she's good. Like, especially when you slow down enemies, like you can easily avoid their attacks if you slow them down. But she's still a starter, and the other villains just seem, I don't know, they just seem so much more fun to play with. Now, she does have a giant form, which is pretty cool overall, because if you do it right in the enemies' faces, like you can like stun them in gold, and then you can like crush them with your massive hands, which I will demonstrate right here. Like you stun them, you summon in, and then you stomp them. Problem is you can't really do it too long, because otherwise you'll just get overwhelmed. As you, right there, guys, the golden guard went down pretty easy. There's a lot of scenarios where you'll summon the golden guard and it will get destroyed almost immediately. But yeah, she's a good character, Golden Queen, but she isn't really that fun to play with. It's mostly due to the lack of moves, but she's pretty fun to play with every now and again. Overall, I would say she probably overall would probably be maybe in like the 11th spot if we were doing all the big. If we're doing like the big list where we included every single character, she'll probably be at like number 11 just for the stun alone. But don't quote me on that though, because I haven't done that list yet. But she's good. She's good. She definitely will. She'll do you proud if you decide to make her your main. But the other characters are just so much more cool, mostly because they're not a starter. But yeah. But anyway, coming at number 8, we have is the only smasher for the villains. Pain-Yatta. Now, Pain-Yatta definitely does live up to his name. Definitely does live up to his name. He can inflict a lot of pain. He is pretty slow, and it's a bit difficult to jump sometimes. But he has really strong lollipops, and you gain a tremendous boost when you use them. You also get a lot faster too, which is pretty cool. And I think for the rest of this we'll go in the arena, because Blobbers is already annoying me a fair bit. But Pain-Yatta has a lot of really powerful attacks, and smashing the lollipops is definitely the way to go with him. You get a pretty big boost when you use a lollipop, as you see. Look how much faster you go. Now, if you look at his upgrades, You got Lollipop Slam, and after when your lollipops explode, they have different flavors, and different flavors have different explosions. You got the Bath Attack, the Pain-Yatta pose there. There's a few other cool stuff. Party mode. Whenever you break a lollipop, you get it becomes faster, take less damage, and can actually deal more damage too. You know, pretty good buffs overall. But let me just talk about the different lollipop explosions because you're probably not quite sure what they all do. Especially if you don't have Pain-Yatta or if you haven't really looked up any videos on him.
Nice to see you again, Skylanders.
Now each lollipop has a completely different flavour, so you probably already know that. But let me go over the effects, and I'll go over them in gameplay because I think it's better to talk about them while you're doing them, so then people will know what you're talking about and also see what you're on about. So this is the first lollipop. This is your standard lollipop. Use it, deal damage, knock your enemies away. Pretty simple lollipop, that one. This isn't the best time to use the candy cane, but the candy cane, you do it and it freezes all the enemies. Those enemies can't be frozen, so that was a pretty awful example, but this next lollipop, you use it, it knocks them on the ground and does damage. This is the Sour Sucker. Use it, electrifies all the enemies. It also does damage over time, which is pretty good. And that's another Shockwave lollipop. You can also use your Pain-Yatta summons, which will distract enemies and explode. Because they explode, they will hit multiple enemies, and you can summon 3 at once, which is pretty sweet. And you can also baff on enemies to stun them in place, which is pretty good if you want to get away. It's not that great if you're surrounded, but if there's like enemies that you want to get past, you just use it and then you can try and run past without getting scarved. It's easy if you smash the lollipop because you're faster and you'll be able to get out of there quicker. But yeah, that's basically Pain-Yatta. You can stop watching my terrible gameplay of him because I haven't played with Pain-Yatta in weeks. But anyway, let's get into the number 7 spot. So in number 7, I've put a Skylander, which I think is well deserving of being above the previous 3 characters. And this is Bad Juju. Now, a lot of people, I believe, they said like, you know, Juju Jr. kind of ruins the character. I think Juju Jr. makes the character for Bad Juju. Juju Jr., if you go for the one path, you gain a lot more upgrades. And probably the biggest weakness with Bad Juju is probably her defense when Juju Jr. is gone. Well, with this path, if you call him back, you gain a shield that lasts about 2 seconds, I want to say. But it completely nullifies all damage. Like, let me give you an example. So, about to get hit. Protect me, Juju Jr. I got hit then, but I blocked. Look how much damage I blocked then. Pretty crazy. The shield doesn't last long, but it completely nullifies damage. That is good in itself. And you can take advantage of that. It doesn't last long, but it's enough to get out of a tricky situation. She's pretty powerful overall. What can I say? Just being able to call back Juju Jr. to get in the shield is pretty overpowered. As you saw, I think if I didn't have the upgrade, I think Bad Juju would probably be defeated by now with how many times the shield activated, because I had 100% defense. You have Voodoo Curse as well. You probably already saw it earlier. You know, hit like 2 enemies or more with the curse, and you can do damage to all of them, which is pretty cool. I only cursed one of them there, and they both fell at once, so great. Alright, perfect. Sheep Barbarian, regular enemy, hurting the Sheep Barbarian. Another thing you can do is you can also use Juju Jr. to repeatedly stun enemies by shocking them. I bet you're wondering how I'm doing that. Well, a lot of people tend to hold this ability. What you want to do is you want to hold it and then release it, because then you get the explosion, and it's the explosion that stuns enemies. It isn't holding it down to do the constant stream of lightning. It's the explosion at the end which will stun enemies. So you want to repeatedly do it in order to keep stunning enemies. Badger Jr. kind of went down because I was too busy concentrating on electrifying those enemies over there. But you kind of get the point. I mean, I hope you get the point anyway, because that's all the gameplay you're going to see from Bad Juju for now. But anyway, let's get on with the next character. So, number 6 is Dr. Krankcase.
The doctor is in.
So, Dr. Krankcase is pretty cool. I know a lot of people love his goo guns, but that's not what we're looking at for this guy. What you want to do is you want to upgrade the bots. Now, the bots are pretty sweet. The bots are very, very good, actually. A lot of people like to upgrade his goo blasters, but to be honest, why do you want to upgrade his goo blasters when he already has this bad boy? This is all you need for your primary attack. Like, honestly, if you're not spamming his primary attack like this, I don't know what you're doing, because the charge is super short, and it does over 200 damage, like up to 300 damage if all the little goo puddles actually hit something too. Do you really need more damage on the primary than this? You're just greedy if you want more. But yeah, the bots get a lot better. So you can spin into the bots, like they do their own little thing, and then you stung your enemies. With this path, when they expire, they do the explosion as well, which is pretty sweet, because then you get a lot of stunning going on with the bots. I'm knocking enemies off cliffs, shooting massive goo at enemies. You know, rinse and repeat, have your own bot army, it's great. You can't run. Enemies can't run away from you. Too much. Powerful explosions. What more could you want from this path? Like, really? This rat is really easy for me to take out. You know, it's just an overall. He's just an overall really good character. Like, there's a lot you can do. And the bots are super powerful. Like, for a character that can have like maximum 6 minions, you would think the minions would be really weak, but they actually are extremely powerful and can do a lot of work for you. Granted though, they don't last very long, the minions, especially if you detonate them yourselves. But it doesn't matter, because you can place 3 at once, and you can have a maximum of 6. It's so easy to deploy your minions, and they do so much damage. It's super powerful, and they can stun enemies. Like, what more could you want from an awesome minion? And also, all his other abilities are super overpowered, so that's why Dr. Krankcase is at number 6. Now, I bet you're wondering, why would a super powerful character only be at number 6? Well, like I said before, they are villains. All of them are super powerful. So, I think it's only fair for the more flushed out characters to be higher on this list. But anyway, number 5 is Chompy Mage. Everyone after Chompy Mage is like almost completely perfect. Like, they have almost no flaws whatsoever. Now, Chompy Mage is pretty fun. He can have a ton of minions, and the reason why he's so high on this list is just because of the sheer number of ways you can obtain a massive army of Chompies. He also has the same capacity as Dr. Krankcase, which is maximum 6. But now the Chompies aren't too powerful, but if you get them in a large amount, they can attack pretty quick. So if you've got a large amount of them, they're going to shred apart enemies quite quick. But they don't have much health, so your Chompies are going to go down quite easy. But still, the secondary is pretty cool too. You can knock enemies over with it. which are pretty good for interrupting enemies' attacks. For example, like the Stinger Bulb here, just knock them away. You know, you sit back down. It's not your turn yet. You can also You can also jump and press triangle, and you can summon tons of chompies around you, which is really good if you need a little bit of backup immediately. You also got the charge shot, which you shoot at the enemy, it sticks into them, and then it explodes later on. It's pretty awesome. It's like the explosive crossbow from like Black Ops 1, Call of Duty Black Ops 1. Kind of like that, you know. You shoot an explosive inside the enemy, and then it detonates later, delivering the killing blow. That's basically what Chompy Mage is doing here. Just like putting explosives in the enemies, and then they're detonating later. Pretty cool. I like his Chompy dash too, because you can move a lot faster with it. And then you can summon the Chompies whenever you want, and then just have a little rampage going on. The Chompies aren't very strong, but they do their job. They distract enemies, and you also can overwhelm the enemies very easily. They're pretty. I like them. They're pretty fun. And also, what's funner than killing the strongest of enemies with some of the weakest of enemies? I mean, it's pretty fun to just watch Chompies just attack the enemies, which is why. And Chompy Mage is overall very, very, very powerful. So that is why he deserves the number 5 spot. Anyway. Now, guys, we're getting into the absolutely near flawless characters. Like, these characters, I struggled so hard to decide where to position these next 4. Because they are all so flawless. Like, they either have one con with them, which isn't really much of a con at all, that I could really think of. Or they would just like had like no flaws, which is probably why you'll see the two characters in the like top 2 spots. You might be surprised with one of them, but anyway. But number 4 is Kaos. I might get a bit of hate for this because this character is supposed to be the strongest, but I'm sorry, but he just isn't. Now, Kaos does a lot of damage to his primary. I was very surprised when he hit 187 with his base attack. In lower difficulties, it's enough to one-hit kill most enemies. Quite in the lowest difficulty, I would assume. I mean, on Nightmare mode, it's enough to 3-hit kill most enemies. So it can't be much different in the. So I'm assuming it will be a lot different in the other versions. Yeah, he's pretty strong, Kaos. The Doomlanders are pretty strong too. Although you can only have 2 of them, they do hit pretty fast. And they do stay for a decent amount of time. If they hit a group of enemies, they're going to do a lot of damage because they can infect quite a large area. I like the Doom Hands. That's my personal favourite because it has a stung attack. Because it stungs. You've also got a range attack, which is his secondary. It's a pretty good range secondary. I like the Doom Hands are my personal favourite. They're so strong. You can also slow down enemies with your primary sometimes. It doesn't really help out too much, but it's a nice little bonus. Also, when you summon your Doomlanders, it actually does knock enemies over, which is pretty good. You've also got Doom Sharks you can deploy. Classic from the first game. They're not that strong, Doom Sharks, unfortunately, because they don't pierce. But they're pretty good if you need to take out, like, one target.
Although, I guess we probably won't really see him later. I mean, that's kind of the point.
What can I say about Kaos, really, that nobody really already knows? Like, he's super powerful. What more could you say? You could easily beat the entire game with just Kaos if you really wanted to. You know, it is super powerful. But it does have a few downsides. And the downsides mostly comes down to his hold attacks that he has. The Doom Hands are good, but the Doom Shacks are not really that excellent, and the Doom Portal is just a waste. It's like, why? I haven't found many uses for that ability. But he's pretty good, Kaos. I like him. He's good. But yes, anyway guys, number 3. This shouldn't be any surprise at all. But number 3 is Typhon Crow. Probably one of the most well-balanced characters in terms of all of his abilities. And they all work really well with each other, which is why they're so strong. Now, all his abilities are actually centered around the flame kick, which is pretty cool. Because you can create the firewall. Here, yeah, you can create a flame wall, which you can throw your ninja stars through in order to make your ninja stars stronger. And you can also kick the buzzer beaks in order to make them stronger. Now, if you go for the bottom path, what it will do is it will flush out the buzzer beaks to make them better. So you can have 3 buzzer beaks rather than 1. And you can also summon 3 buzzer beaks at once too, which is a pretty nice upgrade. And Fury Beaks will make it so that the buzzer beaks are faster and do more damage when you kick them. So that's pretty cool. And the triple kicks is also a very, very nice upgrade. Now, the reason why I don't really like the top half is mostly just because the triple shurikens always miss. And I don't really find the holds that useful, but yeah, this makes him really well balanced, this path. Cromando. And I'll try and show you why. Now, the flame kick is pretty strong. Like, you can just throw your shurikens through them, make them super powerful. You can easily knock enemies around with your flame kick. It leads to 5 behind, which does damage over time. Summon your buzzer beaks for a little bit of extra damage. Those buzzer beaks didn't last very long. Let me summon more. If the buzzer beaks stay alive, they can easily inflict a lot of damage. And yeah, as you see, the only downside is that Typhon Crow can't really take a hit. He doesn't really have much health at all. His health, I believe, is in the 600s, which isn't too great. So as you see, you get a lot. So the bar for health goes up a lot quicker than other characters. Let's try and destroy this character. It's starting to annoy me. Let's destroy this spell punk so we can heal. Big Mama's pretty good though. Summon Big Mama. Now what's cool about Big Mama is that she can't be defeated. So if you're going up against like one of these annoying drummer boys, just summon Big Mama and she'll be able to do it, take care of it for you. The buzzer beaks also make a pretty nice distraction if you need to get to another place. If you can keep him alive, he can do a ton of damage, which is pretty sweet. I'm not really doing the best of justice for him, but you know, you get the point, I hope. I don't know. As you see, I wasn't really doing him justice. It was a hard round. But yeah, that is Typhon Crow. Anyway, now we're getting into the 2 absolutely best villains. I couldn't decide which one to put in the number 1 spot, so I decided to put the one with the most abilities in the number 1 spot. Anyway, number 2. It's Wolfgang.
Let there be rock.
Wolfgang should easily manage to take care of these enemies. So Wolfgang, you can slow down enemies, which is pretty sweet. Slow them down with the tracks. You can place down musical barriers and then shoot your arrows. The musical barriers will also shoot arrows. Knock them away, keep them at bay, rain down arrows on them. The sheep barbarian's getting a bit annoying. You ruin my style. You can charge your arrows, shoot a more powerful one which knocks enemies away. Shoot an enemy with an arrow does damage over time. A lot of really cool abilities.
Although these do look pretty good, don't they?
Yeah. It's just really good overall. You know, you've got your, you know, and what's good about the top half is that it actually upgrades all of his abilities. So this upgrades your knee slide, which is your tertiary. No, it's your secondary. Sorry. So this upgrades your secondary attack. It also upgrades your primary attack by inflicting damage over time, and it will also upgrade your tertiary, which is the speakers. So they shoot when you do, which is pretty strong because they do the exact same amount of damage as your regular arrow attack. And you can have 2 speakers active at once, which is pretty sweet. So I'm just not gonna knock him away. Again, he shares the same downside with Tycoon Pro, which is lack of health. But he has but the thing with Wolfgang is he has the barriers to keep enemies at bay. So enemies are not going to get anywhere near as close with Wolfgang. And also, his speakers do a significantly more amount of damage. Because also, the reason why he's higher than Tycoon Crow is because of the barriers. And also for the fact that he doesn't have minions that have very little health. The buzzer beaks with Tycoon Crow is really what does the damage for you. But with Wolfgang, it's the speakers. And the speakers can't be destroyed by enemies. And look how easily you can defeat waves of enemies. Like, just get them. I'm getting close. I don't think so, sucker. Right, he got there, but... you know. Pretty strong overall. If you need to slow enemies down, just use your Neil Slide. You can also spam your Neil Slide as well. And just shoot just tons of discs at your enemies. If you really need it. Wolfgang is one of my personal favourites. He's very, very powerful. But anyway, who could possibly top a character that can barely be touched at all? Well, what about a character that can defeat enemies before they even get anywhere near you? I know you're thinking, how could this guy possibly be in the #1 spot? Well, Blasttron. Well, he just is, sucker. He just is. You can hold the sword down. By the Blasttron is the #1. I forgot to do the honorable mention. I'll do it at the end. Now. But yeah, I'm awful at making lists. Yeah, just hold the sword down. Enemies go flying. You can summon this, which I don't even know what it's called. But it makes your lasers stronger. That's all you really need to know. And it also hurts enemies if they go near it. I think they get slowed down too. We'll have a look at the grades. Lots of Blasttron. Yeah, the hologram shield. Creating an area that damages enemies and slows down their projectiles. Sounds very similar to Dr. Neil Cortex's Gadget's Galore Path, maybe. Yeah, energy extender. Yeah, there's a lot to this character, like a lot. He's even got combos. Yeah. I love him, he's great. The orbital lasers, you see guys, actually the more frequently you attack, the more frequently it appears. It's pretty sweet. I'm doing the combos right now. As you see, the combos are super powerful if you don't get hit while doing them. I haven't played with Blasttron in a while. Mostly because I've been playing with all the new characters.
Okay, but as commentators, don't we have to remain impartial? And I'm really asking too.
I'm not really trying with the PvP fight too much. I mean, not PvE fight, sorry. You know, this run's already ruined if I even wanted to make a run. But yeah, he has a really strong Sky Chi too. You can easily just defeat enemies like super quick with it. Ooh, right there.
the end of that chapter.
Oh, this dude is really looking horrified. I can see it in his eyes, Broccoli guy. He just has that look, you know? I have reached the end of all the things I could say in this particular category, so if you hear me repeat myself, now you know why.
Nice.
You're getting pretty tough waves, but as you see, guys, Blasttron
There goes that dude. Good old.
is clearly one of the best villains in the game. Like, have you seen his have you seen the friggin' lasers? Like,
Uh-oh, this looks like it could be trouble for the Skylanders.
the combos are strong. You can also stun with one of his combos if you can pull it off. You've already seen it, but like that combo there, stung that enemy in place. I like to use that one because it affects more enemies and you can like knock them upwards. As you can see, like Blasttron is just a complete savage. He doesn't care who you are, he will eliminate you just as quickly as everyone else. Seem to be doing a lot better now with Blasttron. Yeah, very easy for the #1 spot. But anyway, there's not really any point trying to spoil who's the number 11. It's Graveclobber. You guys probably would have worked it out anyway, simply because he was the only one not on the list. But yeah, Graveclobber is the honourable mention. I know he has the most amount of health, and I know he has really good combos, but he's pretty slow when it comes to executing his combos. Now, I don't have access to his combos because I'm still on the Wave Maker path because I was just checking it out. His combos are strong, trust me, they are pretty strong. Now, I'm not a massive fan of Graveclobber just simply because he's just, I'm just not a massive fan of him, to be honest. Yeah, he has a few problems. First off, I have no idea what that geyser were doing there. That is a problem with the geysers. They just don't really work when you want them to. Now, the geysers move really slowly, as you can see, guys, and they have really poor range. So after the geysers, you'll summon, like, hit twice if you're lucky, and then they'll stop hitting the enemies completely. The Lariat Punch is pretty strong, though. Because the geysers get a decent amount of hits on.
Good old whatever his name was.
As you see, Graveclobber isn't really the easiest character to use in the world. I wouldn't really expect him to last long on this path anyway. But, you know, that's basically the list. Yeah. So, anyway, these are the top 10 best villains. Yeah, villains. Let me know what you think about this list. It did actually take me quite a while to construct this list. I actually have like this. I actually have this sticky note which I actually constructed together. I basically went over all the pros and cons of all the characters, and I decided them based on kind of that idea. So there's a few things I took in mind, which was first one was damage. The amount of damage you could deliver. That was taken into mind, because obviously the quicker you defeat enemies, the better. Another thing I took into mind was their speed of attacks, like how quickly they could attack. It was why Graveclobber and Sickle were so low on the list. It was mostly because of their speed, which they, or lack of. Minions I took into account, like any abilities that could distract enemies I took into account, like the minions, for example. Like immunity kind of things, like that bad Juju has available. Stung attacks, stuff like that. So it's really based on that. I can actually, if people request me to, I can actually show you the exact writing that's on the sticky note, so you can look at the notes I put down together. But I will have to go through and spell check some of the words, because I definitely did type some of them incorrectly, and also some of the words were abbreviated just so I didn't have to spend as long typing it. But yeah, This wasn't just hastily put together. I actually did put some thought and effort into making this list, so I hope other people will at least appreciate that, even if they will completely disagree with this list. And that's assuming people will. But yeah. Before I end this though, I'll just do a quick recap of the characters on this list. Number 11, Grave Clobber. Number 10, Sickle. Number 9, Golden Queen. Number 8, Pain-Yatta. Number 7, Bad Juju. Number 6, Dr. Krankcase. Number 5, Chompy Mage. Number 4, Kaos. Number 3, Kwon Crow. Number 2, Wolfgang. And number 1, Blasttron. So, that's all the characters in order. So, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, maybe consider, I don't know, subscribing, maybe? You don't have to. You'll just miss out on all this awesome content. But anyway, I'm going to end the video here now. I'm going to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all, hopefully, in the next video. See ya!